Former President Donald Trump shot in the ear during a rally in Pennsylvania.
I already told you. I thought he should have spent more time practicing first. I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't think Destiny feels conflicted anymore. I'm glad I don't have to wonder about him being evil.
Destiny outright laughing at, brushing off, saying he doesn't care about an innocent random Trump supporter.
If I've learned anything today, it's that Destiny is the absolute worst.
Or is it the people who are actually applauding an assassination attempt and laughing at the death of one of their political opponents? Like, which is more polarizing? Which is more hateful?
If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am, 100%.
Wow, what a normal week we've had. So as all of you know, I assume someone made an attempt on Donald Trump's life recently. The guy ended up missing and Trump survived. Trump put his fist up in the air when it happened in a photo that will be remembered in history books and textbooks, and it will be in people's man caves for the next 70 years. And given that someone tried to kill a presidential candidate, obviously everyone is talking about it, and everyone includes Hassan.
As well as you saw
He's clip farming harder than the new crop of FaZe talent. He's like FaZe Ronaldo. He's clip farming harder than Jinxie. He keeps throwing up his fist.
Been at many of these Trump rallies. And
it's over.
Now Hassan got a lot of take for this, but I mean, the guy is right. As soon as it happened, okay, Trump gets down, and then when the Secret Service is trying to get him to stay down so they can protect him, he throws his fist up in the air to get like an epic photo. Now I don't blame him for that, but he was literally clip farming. He knew that this moment would be remembered in the history books, and he wanted to look awesome. So I mean, people are mad at Hassan for this take because of, I guess, like the way it sounds considering the seriousness of the situation, but I mean, he's right. But surprisingly, Hassan is not the person receiving the most amount of hate on Twitter right now for his takes around this stuff. Hassan's response was not nearly as inflammatory as Destiny, someone who, as you guys all know, I'm his number one butt buddy, glazer, whatever you want to say. I've done a bunch of streams with him. I mean, I've done 2 videos with him, podcasts. I'm a longtime viewer of his, and I would say I'm probably considered the sort of YouTube drama orbiter in Destiny's community, to an extent at least. So a lot of people wanted me to weigh in on what he was saying. I was actually streaming at the time all of this started, and a lot of people in my chat wanted me to look at his Twitter, and I was like, okay, I'll look later. I saw like one tweet or something, and then I was like, okay, whatever, it's probably, nothing. And then I got off stream and I looked more at what he had said, and I was like, holy not only making fun of, but also being seemingly gleeful that a random dude died at a Trump rally is definitely not going to look good to almost anyone, whether they are conservative or liberal. And that wouldn't be the only thing that he would say. So Destiny has a subreddit that's very popular. I want to say it's one of the most popular streamer subreddits. And on that sub, somebody made a post saying, yeah, I got to take a break from Destiny and this community. My friend's mom was right there next to the guy who got killed. She's still freaking the fuck out over what she experienced. It'll probably take her years to recover from and deal with what she went through if she ever does. This is sickening to see from some of you. Peace out, duders. And then we have a response from the official Destiny Reddit account saying, don't ever come back. Tell your friend and his mom to get. What am I supposed to say to that, Steven? So obviously with these kinds of takes being put out on the timeline, people were pretty mad at him. And this is like a small fraction of what he was saying too. And so he responded by saying, if I've offended anyone with my recent tweets, I'd like to make things right. DM me and I'll buy you front row seats to the next Trump rally. I mean, it's funny. It is funny, but it's sort of an unoptical thing, I would say. It's sort of a, everybody collectively is now going to look at this tweet and say, look at this you should never listen to anything he says ever again. Like, the average person seeing this probably sees it and goes, wow, Destiny is a piece of. And you know what? I can't really even blame people for thinking that, especially if you don't really watch his content much, because the dude is being very, very unoptical right now, to say the least. And also, I can't even defend that take because this random dude that was at a Trump rally did not deserve to die. He just didn't. But despite my opposition to this, I'm not going to write Destiny off entirely, okay? I'd like to dig a little deeper into why he would say something like this. The easy answer is to say, oh, he's unhinged, the left is like this or whatever else. But honestly, I don't think he's mentally ill or that he would say this without any reason why, even if the reason is not one that you or I or anyone else may agree with. So today, I'm going to take on the task as the #1 Destiny glazer of claiming that Destiny has actually reached the most logical conclusion conclusion possible for his belief that Trump is evil, a wannabe dictator, etc. Now, a lot of you are going to say, but he laughed at people dying. He wants Trump dead. How is that logical? Well, I don't agree with everything Nebraska Steve says, but in a very logical A to B to C way, it does make sense to me that Destiny does not care if Trump or his supporters die in some kind of altercation like this. Is that empathetic? No. Is it mature? No. But from his perspective, the conservative party in the United States has been doing so much worse than what happened the other day. So he basically sees it as like, whatever, I don't really feel bad for them. They made their own bed, right? And let me explain what I mean by that. So if you go to the videos tab on Destiny's channel, what you're going to find as of the last few months is a lot of videos about Trump, specifically his indictments, the court case against him that resulted in a felony conviction, Trump's allegation that the election was stolen, and what happened on January 6th when a bunch of people stormed the Capitol building. So Destiny read through all of the relevant documents related to this stuff, and he came to a few conclusions. He's shown evidence on his stream that, according to him and many others, shows a scheme devised by Trump to subvert the election by creating and submitting fake certificates of ascertainment. This is a little political jargony, but essentially what this means is that Trump wanted to pass off fraudulent certificates from the Electoral College onto his then vice president, Mike the Electric Fence Pence, in the hopes that he would then use these fraudulent documents to overturn the election in Trump's favor. There's other stuff too, like Trump calling members of the government to get them to delay the certification of the vote so that he could basically pass in these fake electoral votes and win against Biden, okay? Now, I haven't looked into all of this enough to know exactly how accurate all of it is. I'm not a political scholar, researcher, okay? And frankly, it's a little out of my pay grade to even talk about this, but this is what Destiny believes. He also believes that Trump is responsible for what happened on January 6th, and he believes that Trump's wish is that his supporters would overthrow the government in order to help him maintain his position as president if he hadn't been elected, which in the end he was not elected. So that's basically, in his mind, what Trump wanted, okay? All of this is what Destiny firmly believes, and if you believe that, okay, then you must necessarily believe that Trump is a threat to democracy, wants to be a dictator put in power by his supporters and violence rather than a true democratic vote, and of course, you would believe that Trump should not be president. So to make like a long story short, sort of a too long didn't read, Destiny hates Trump for a number of reasons, and it's not in a like, oh, can we agree to disagree type of way. It's more in a, you threaten the very foundation of my country and its ideals, and the world would be better off without you type of way. It's that type of way, okay? And Destiny has been researching this on stream and debating people about it for the last, I want to say 6 months to a year, pretty much endlessly. Like, he's really going deep on these subjects. There's a few tweets that kind of accurately summarize my point from a few right-wing people, where Dave Smith says, how the f can you say he's literally Hitler and democracy is on the line, but we wish him a speedy recovery and political violence is never acceptable? If you've been saying any of that insane shit, then at least have the integrity to admit that this is the logical conclusion of your lies. And then we have this post from Matt Walsh, and he says, Dems are in a real conundrum. If Trump is really an evil supervillain dictator who wants to destroy our system of government or whatever, then assassinating him would be morally justified. But they don't want to justify this, which means they're confessing that everything they said about him for 10 years was nonsense. They either have to openly defend this assassination attempt or admit that they're full of shit. There's no good option. They're screwed. Now, obviously, Destiny doesn't believe that he's lying about Donald Trump. He believes that Donald Trump is a dictator, basically, or a wannabe dictator. And he did try to, rig the election in his favor. And, the January 6th thing, all of that. He doesn't believe that he's lying. But the rest of this is like, Matt Walsh and Dave Smith both recognize that if you believe that Trump is this kind of person, then obviously you're not going to cry about any political violence towards him, right? So the reason why I say that I'm not surprised when he doesn't care if Trump dies or not is because if you believe that Trump's basically wannabe dictator who will upset the entire political system, wants to end democracy, and tried to overthrow the government because he wasn't happy with the election, like, how could he not think that given everything else that comes before it, right? It's the basic natural conclusion of Destiny's arguments and entire philosophy at this point. Now, if you want to go through everything that Destiny has read through and tell him he's wrong about Trump for this reason and that reason, please be my guest, but I'm not going to do that. I don't agree with Destiny based solely off the fact that I don't know what happened. I haven't done my research into the subject, and I probably won't because I'm YouTube drama guy. But Destiny's problem is that in his eyes, it's not just YouTube drama people who haven't done the research on all this stuff. It's in particular political commentators where it's their job. Frankly, he's like the only politics person of any large scale that I've seen actually go through all of the materials related to Trump and all of his court cases and all of that. And he's also seen a lot of conservatives call for and imply that they want violence, so he feels like it's justified to respond with all of these edgy jokes. But with all that being said, now that I've sort of set you up to have all the materials to know why he thinks what he thinks, I think it's time to actually go through some of the most offensive that he's been saying. So right when he found out about the shooting, he posted saying that he was honestly conflicted on how he felt about it, but that he would chat about it on stream the next day. And this tweet immediately started getting a lot of attention from people who found it disgusting. One person replied, "This is definitely the worst tweet about today's events that I've seen so far. You don't just say, I'm honestly conflicted on your feelings about the shooting and not clarify. You're just begging people to think that a part of you wanted to see this happen." And this is a fair response, I think. Obviously, when you say something like that about such a massive event, people are going to question why you wouldn't just share your thoughts immediately. Is it because they're going to make you look bad? Well, obviously, Destiny didn't really care about the looking bad part, which is why he went on to say, "Let me clarify. When I say conflicted, what I mean is that I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support, so I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it." And there you have it. As I said, Destiny hates Trump, and there are a lot of people who hate Trump and have like no reason for it. They're just kind of shaking their fists in the air like, "God damn you, Donald!" But I think that after watching him go through some of the stuff on stream, I think the dude has his reasons, honestly. And with the reasons that he has, I wouldn't really expect him to feel any different about when he sees someone trying to, you know. He went on to say, "If we learned anything today, I hope it's realizing the importance of principles I've stressed many times on stream before. Having a firearm means absolutely nothing if you don't spend time at the range practicing with it." Okay, I mean, obviously this one is funny, but the guy is just asking for it, okay? And this is one of the main criticisms to make of Destiny here, I think, even if you're like a fan of him, okay? If you don't like Trump or conservatives or anyone else from that camp, like, why would you play into exactly what they want? They want liberals to look insane. They want the left to look like a bunch of unhinged people who want to assassinate the president. And there's just no plausible deniability here. And to people outside of Destiny's base who see this stuff, even the comments that are clearly more joking than, you know, serious, they're gonna see this and immediately write him off. If you thought the cuck stuff was bad optics or like bad press or, you know, whatever, super easy to make fun of, and like, you know, something people used to discredit him as like, oh, he's a weirdo, why would you listen to him? Imagine how this stuff is going to follow Destiny and allow people to paint him like an insane person. You know, he built up a lot of goodwill, I think, in the YouTube community in the past, I want to say 6 months to a year and a half from covering some drama stuff. You know, there's people like Mudahar and there's, you know, a bunch of other YouTubers who were like, you know what, Destiny's actually not so bad, you know, stuff like that. And I can't speak for anyone but myself, obviously, but I think that stuff like this makes a lot of people go like, oh, maybe I need to back the out of this situation right now. And on one hand, you know, that's part of why I watch him, because I think he's funny and I like the fact that he's, you know, sometimes sort of unhinged on the timeline, okay? I like personally that he's often unconcerned with the optics of a situation and just brings like the online blood sports energy wherever he goes. But as far as establishing a serious political voice and ascending to a high level of discourse and being able to get conversations with famous people, this seems very counterproductive. Like I cannot imagine that Ben Shapiro or anyone of that caliber is going to want to talk to him again anytime soon. You know, people will see this stuff and in or out of context, they're just going to look at it and be like, oh, this guy's just like Hassan, for example, right? Someone who's constantly having like the most insane clips in the world and, you know, encouraging violence, laughing at people dying, laughing at cops dying. And now, I mean, you look up Destiny and he's laughing and like taking glee in the fact that some random firefighter died at a Trump rally. Like, that's just not only is it like, I think we're to do that, but it's a horrible look. So here he says, "I will say I was worried for a minute about what would happen to Biden if he ordered this, but then I remembered, thank God conservatives all agree the president has absolute criminal immunity when acting as his role as commander-in-chief." What he's talking about here is related to his belief that Trump tried to steal the election for himself. Trump's lawyers essentially seem to be arguing that Trump was immune from prosecution for that because it was covered under his official acts as a president. I've got this quote here. I believe this is Trump's legal team, and they said, "We believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency." Scharf said, according to The Hill. Without the evidence now covered under presidential immunity, he added, special counsel Jack Smith doesn't even have a case. And ultimately, it was ruled by the Supreme Court that Trump did have broad immunity from prosecution for the elector scandal. So basically what Destiny is saying here is that because conservatives believe Trump is immune from prosecution regarding the fake electorate scheme, then they should also think that the same ruling would apply to Joe Biden in a hypothetical world where he attempted to assassinate Trump. Yeah, that's basically, I mean, that's the logic here, I guess. Man, I'm way out of my pay grade on this one, but yeah, that's my understanding of the arguments being made here. But a lot of people, even people who generally respect Destiny, have said that he's gone too far with these takes. Wick TV responded to him saying, "This is not okay. Call me soy all you like, but this isn't the time nor the place." And you know, I think this is the expected response from the average person, the average normal person who's not super politically invested and just sees these things, you know? I mean, for the average person, it's terrifying to see a presidential candidate, even one as controversial as Trump, being shot at on live TV. see. And when they then see a popular YouTube streamer, politics guy being like, should have had better aim, like obviously they're gonna write you off immediately as crazy / retarded. So Destiny says, lol, I'm sorry, but soy raging out over this when conservatives have been unhinged for the past 8 years is beyond stupid. I'm way over it. Remember all the conservative dip talking about principles today who have joked about Pelosi's husband getting beat or celebrated all kinds of violence against minorities or progressives or other people they consider undesirable? I'm way over it at this point. They reap what they sow, and I'm here to wash the harvest. So you get the point he's making here. Obviously he's saying, you know, the right has done this for this amount of time, so therefore I'm just going to do it now, you know. And one person who unfortunately fell victim to this tweet, and I think in a way showed him to be somewhat right, was the quartering. Obviously the quartering is not the best example of like a serious political commentator because he's a YouTuber who talks about like Star Wars, Brie Larson, culture war bullshit. But when Destiny made his tweet saying, I'm conflicted, the quartering said, I just love how much of a piece of garbage you can be. There's literally nothing to be conflicted about. And Destiny then responded, showing the quartering mocking the assassination attempt on Nancy Pelosi's husband. And unless these screenshots are somehow fake or something, which the quartering has never said that they're fake, he definitely did that. So this kind of stuff is why Destiny is once again going mask off right now, because he sees it as like, how can these guys pearl clutch about me when they've been doing the same for years and getting away with it? Conservatives, when the guy they wildly support who tried to lead an insurrection against the government and was then granted absolute criminal immunity to save him from his federal cases gets shot at. And this is not to say that the liberal mainstream media has not been encouraging the same kind of rhetoric about taking to the streets, you know?
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
But then it becomes kind of like a who started it situation where Destiny believes that Trump and his version of conservatism started it, whereas people who are against him either believe that the Dems actually started it, or then you have some people like my mutual on Twitter, Spinach Bra, who apparently actually just wants Trump to be a dictator. Obviously not all conservatives believe that, and not everyone who votes for Trump believes that. In fact, I think it's probably a minority of Trump voters that believe that Trump is or should be the king of America. But Destiny sees all Trump voters as complicit, whether knowingly or not, which is why he is making fun of, you know, random people that died. And yeah, that's the part that I really have a hard time with. I really do. I mean, making fun of it is whatever. Like, if you're gonna, you know, I make really edgy jokes, I don't give a shit. But it's not just making fun of it. There's like a serious intention behind the joke, which is to say that these people should die, or he doesn't care if they do die, basically. Corey Comparator was one of these people. He was a firefighter who apparently died trying to protect his family from the gunfire. In an interview with the New York Post on Monday, Helen Comparator, the widow of Corey, shared her husband's last words, spoken as he shielded his family from bullets that ultimately took his life. He's my hero, Helen said. He just said, get down. That was the last thing he said. So by all accounts, this guy sounds like, you know, a pretty tragic hero. You know, this guy died protecting his family. But then people found his Twitter account where he apparently had an affinity for Vladimir Putin. Now, Destiny had already been making fun of this guy, saying, a person in a crowd cheering for and supporting a traitor to this country caught astray. I'm so sad, please. And then when he saw the pro-Putin tweets, he doubled down in making fun of his death. Now, honestly, I don't really care if this guy believed Putin should be the president of the United States of America, or if he believed that Donald Trump should be the king of the moon. Obviously, you can criticize him for those takes, but I mean, he's dead now, so I don't really know what good that's gonna do. To me, the idea that just because this guy was at a Trump rally, which by the way, the majority of Americans don't see as a fascist think tank, but instead see as supporting the Republican candidate instead of the Democratic one, I don't think that just because he was there means he deserves to die, or that it's like not sad that he did die. I mean, this is a little ridiculous, you know? I don't really care about Trump, honestly. Like, make fun of him all you want. I have no attachment to the dude, but this random guy who was there and just had some bad tweets, like his family gonna see that, man. Like, make fun of Trump all you want. Honestly, I don't even give a shit if you want to say, you know, some crazy stuff, okay? I don't really care if you want to say some crazy stuff about Donald Trump. It's not my problem, okay? Honestly, I don't give a shit. But like, this random guy who was there and just had some bad tweets, just because of that means his death is like a big whoopsies. Oh well. That is dumb as f. And this is my biggest substantive disagreement with Destiny over this. Like, even if you're going to believe that these people are all functionally voting for someone who is a threat to democracy, these are still people with families. And I wouldn't make this same exception for, like, if the firefighter guy was violent, he had done something horrible, specifically, you know, if he had, like, I don't know, molested someone, I don't know. Like, there's a few things I can imagine in my mind where I'd be like, haha, you're dead, whatever, right? Like, there are things like that. But all we know about this guy is that he had a somewhat controversial Twitter account, which, like, nobody was looking at before he died. And honestly, when you actually look through it, most of these takes, as dumb as many of them are probably shared by like 30% of white middle-aged dads in America. If it was just jokes for Destiny, I would say whatever. Like, it wouldn't, you know, I don't give a shit. But the main thing here to hit on is that it's not just a joke. Like, this is a joke that falls in line with his belief that he doesn't feel bad if, like, any Trump supporter dies.
Fuck it, fuck the dude, the firefighter guy, fuck Trump, the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, you don't, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, you know, getting blown away or whatever the I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%.
You know, I want to give this guy the most amount of charitability possible here because, you know, I like him and I like his streams, but at the end of the day, I disagree with this completely. Donald Trump incited an insurrection and then was granted full criminal immunity for possibly all of his involvement. I have zero sympathy for anything that happens to him or anyone who supports him. Now, if this is true, then the idea that every single person who's going to vote for Trump has full knowledge of this and a complete understanding of it is so dumb. The average person doesn't have time to become informed on these political issues or enough time to read through all the indictments and every piece of paperwork and come to the same conclusion that Destiny has. Well, maybe they should if they're gonna vote. The average working class person struggling to make ends meet is just not gonna do that. And to even expect them to do that is just ridiculous. It just is. Like, political commentators absolutely should be reading into these materials, and the fact that very few of them have and yet continue to speak on these issues is ridiculous. And they should be criticized. And I think that's totally fair. And you can even criticize the average voter, but I'm just not expecting that of them. I'm not. And even if I did have that expectation, I wouldn't think that means it's okay for them to die. Now, considering all of the heat on him from this stuff, Destiny ended up joining a Twitter space to debate people on the subject. And whether or not I or you agree with his conclusions, it's very apparent how little most people who are angry at him even knew about the subject material. And these are people who are publicly debating him, so I would definitely expect a little bit better.
He called his crowd of people that he gathered on the 6th and then sent them to the Capitol grounds to protest with the goal of getting Pence to choose the fake electorate votes that he sent in to Congress. Are you aware of any of that?
What is the evidence for that, though?
It's laid out in the indictments, and nobody denies any of it.
And you can see him get continually more heated at the lack of knowledge around what he's been researching for months.
You weren't following 24/7. You were following it 0-0. You have no idea what happened on any of this. Why do you think you should have an opinion on any of this?
Well, I told you I can have an opinion if I want.
You can, but then people should like make fun of you and like bully the f out of you for it, right? You've literally no idea about any of this. It wasn't that what our original tweet was over? Is that I think I called you didn't I call you a hack? It seems like I was correct, right? You have absolutely no idea about literally any of these issues.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I haven't followed the case as closely as you have.
Hold on, not closely. You don't even have any idea. You have no concept. You don't know anything about what I'm talking. You don't even know what an electoral vote is, do you?
Now, I would bet for non-Destiny viewers, you'll see this as condescending and smarmy and whatever else. But I mean, that is part of why I watch the guy. I like to see him yell at people. Now, one of the videos that I did with Destiny is on the Tom IRL channel, and it was at Demolition Ranch with Donut Operator and Brandon Herrera. Brandon Buckingham was there. Wendigoon was there. Obviously, seeing how Brandon and Donut are Trump supporters, it's unlikely that those dudes would ever be like best buddies with Destiny just because of like it's such a substantive disagreement. It's unlikely that they would be like licking ice cream cones together, kicking their feet and picking the petals off of flowers. But I thought it would be a fun video to do with all of them, and when we were there filming in Texas, it seemed to me like everybody got along pretty well. But given Destiny's recent takes on Twitter, Donut Operator saw it and he decided to chime in. He said, "I knew meeting you for the first time that I wouldn't like you. Weak little dweeb boy. Hell, the girl you were with showed more attention to my friends and I than you. You sure were happy to take advantage of our hospitality, shooting our ammo and guns, even though you'd want us dead. You just keep proving how much of a bitch you are." So Destiny responded saying, "LMFAO, this is the funniest rewriting of history I've ever seen in my entire life. I sat there and talked to you and your 13-year-old son for like 20 minutes, and you had such an insanely negative opinion of me. You sat there like a silent little seething bitch and said nothing the entire time. Then you cried for like an hour about how when lefties come and shoot with us, they always make hit pieces. And then you make up about the girl I was with? What is wrong with you? You've been inhaling too much gunpowder at the range." Now, it's not shocking to me that Cody was pretty disturbed by what what Destiny had said, considering the, you know, implication of everything is basically that he wouldn't give a shit if Cody or any of his friends at Demolition Ranch died. I don't blame Cody whatsoever for responding or, you know, disagreeing. I mean, I have, you know, obviously a similar disagreement. I will say, when I was there, I didn't sense any animosity between them at all, and I remember Destiny also paid for everyone's breakfast when we were there as like a thanks for letting, you know, him come out there to shoot guns with them. And it was not like a small breakfast. There was like 15 people there or something, and he just kind of, I think, paid without telling anyone or asking permission. He just did it. So I would say he was pretty polite, personally. You know, I guess Donut was just kind of holding his tongue when we were out there or something, and he just didn't like him. I thought everyone was getting along when I was there, but, you know, not surprising, things turned out this way. So in the future, I think I'll try to avoid bringing people like this together to avoid any static, because honestly, I probably could have foreseen this kind of thing happening. All of these inflammatory comments escalated to the point that even Elon Musk himself chimed in to say that Destiny's account is not appropriate for advertisers. So this went all the way to the top of the food chain, okay? New level of infamy for Nebraska Steve. With all that being said, I've had a lot of people calling for me to drop Destiny or disavow him. And you know what? After looking at everything that I've had here, my answer to that is no. I'm going to keep doing content with the guy when I think it's pertinent or relevant to me. I'm going to disagree with him when I disagree. I'm going to agree with him when we're on the same page. But I'm also not going to like disavow anyone he's on who I'm friends with, or vice versa, because, you know, I can just never beat the centrist allegations. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in tomorrow's video where I shove this up my butt. Goodbye.